the chief guest of this launching ceremony. Honorable Prime Minister of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, Mahinda Rajapaksa. Sir, we are honored to have you gracing this occasion. And now, to deliver the welcome address, I would like to invite Professor Ranjit Senaratne, Chairman of the National Science Foundation. Sir, over to you.
Aibowan, good day. Honorable Mahinda Rajapaksa, Prime Minister of the Socialist Democratic Republic of Sri Lanka, Professor Sampath Amaratunga, Chairman, University Grant Commission, Mr. Ashik M. Ali, Deputy Chairman, Slas, Dr. Bandula Vijay from USA, Professor Dilanto Fernando from Canada, Professor Shanti Mendis, Switzerland, Professor Dilanti Amratunga, UK, Professor Samantha Mugay, Australia, and Professor Monte, Cassin, Japan, representing the distinguished Sri Lankan expatriates around the globe. Professor Janaka Silva, representing the top 2% of the global scientific fraternity in Sri Lanka, Vice Chancellors and Chairpersons, and CEOs of public and private sector institutions, our esteemed scientists, technologists, professionals at home and abroad, members of the Board of Management, Director General, Chairpersons of steering committees, and staff of the NSF, distinguished invitees joining online and offline, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a truly historic and momentous day, not only for the S&T and higher education sectors of our economy, but also for the whole country, as we bring together a constellation of outstanding sons and daughters of our motherland from home and abroad onto a digital platform for a lofty and laudable cause in keeping with the government vision to bring splendor and prosperity to our country. The global digital platform that NSF constructed with technical support from the Slas offers a pragmatic and credible mechanism to harness, mobilize, and channel intellectual assets at home and abroad, the most precious and treasured resource in a knowledge economy. This will enable us to address and resolve high priority national needs and concerns while making the most of the opportunities and natural resources available in order to transform Sri Lanka into a developed nation. Therefore, this event undoubtedly signifies an important landmark in the 54-year-long journey of the National Science Foundation in particular, and science and technology sector in general. I am overwhelmed by the physical and digital presence of a galaxy of high-profile, brilliant Sri Lankan academics, scientists, technologists, and entrepreneurs at home and abroad, as well as movers and shakers of industry and other luminaries on this august occasion. It is rare to see such a rich and diverse intellectual and academic assembly under one roof. On this historic day, as the chairman of the National Science Foundation, it is my pleasant task and prime duty to welcome the distinguished guests and invitees. First and foremost, I, together with the Board of Management, and the Director General of the National Science Foundation wish to extend a most warm and cordial welcome to our chief guest, Honorable Mahinda Rajapaksa, the Prime Minister of the Socialist Democratic Republic of Sri Lanka. Sir, in spite of your many responsibilities and heavy preoccupation, you most willingly and readily accepted our invitation, which shows your abiding interest in and profound commitment to promoting science and technology in our country. Your presence here on this occasion is a source of great strength, encouragement, and motivation to us all. We again most heartily welcome you to this event. Professor Sampath Amaratunga, Chairman, University Grants Commission, and Mr. Ishaq Ashik Ali, Vice Chairman of Slascom. You are the strategic partners, and your constant support and patronage will be of great relevance and value in sustainably utilizing benefits envisaged from the platform. We most warmly and affectionately welcome you to this program. Present in our midst are several leading personalities in the public and the private sector of the country, including vice chancellors, chairpersons, members of the board of management, director general, chairpersons of steering committees of the NSF, CEOs, scientists, and other officials of public and private sector institutions. All of you are most heartily welcome. Dear valued expatriates, as you are aware, there are nearly 3 million Sri Lankan expatriates and immigrants in the world, including an appreciable number of reputed scientists and professionals holding senior positions in academia, R&D institutions, and industry. You undoubtedly constitute a formidable potential asset of Sri Lanka, which has hitherto been almost untapped and untouched for national development. In fact, there are many Sri Lankan expatriates who are keen to contribute to the development of the motherland, and there have been previous attempts to harness this potential. However, the lack of a credible and pragmatic mechanism has hindered such contribution, whereas countries such as China, India, and Taiwan have derived remarkable benefits by harnessing expatriates for national development. Honorable Prime Minister, therefore, when I was appointed the chairman of the NSF, I persistently worked on constructing an instrument to harness this potential, and I discussed it with my colleague, Professor Prasad Jaiveer of the Sri Lankan University. He suggested obtaining the services of Slascom, which helped the NSF to translate our dream into reality. Thanks to their expert intervention and indefatigable efforts of the International Affairs Division of the NSF, headed by Dr. Santsiri, now we have a state-of-the-art global digital platform with the requisite capabilities and features to harness the expatriates for national development. Practically every sector of the economy, including higher education, science and technology, foreign direct investment, trade and export, tourism and industry can benefit from it. It has manifold applications and even can be used to harvest global waters when calling for application for high-profile positions such as Chairman, University Grant Commission, Vice Chancellors, and Director General of BOI, to name a few. The digital platform can also be transformed into a business model, especially to provide technology, know-how, and show how to industry for industrial growth. This will generate revenue for the NSF, thereby reducing its reliance and burden on the public coffers. I am pleased to inform that over 900 expatriate scientists, technologists, and professionals have registered with us from around the globe, and today 6 top flight scientists and technologists of global repute, namely Dr. Bandula Vijay, International Science and Technology Ambassador for Sri Lanka in USA, Professor Dilantha Fernando, Dean Studies, University of Manitoba, Canada, Professor Shanti Mendis, former Senior Advisor to WHO, Switzerland, Professor Dilanthi Amaratunga, Head Global Disaster Resilience Center, University of Huddersfield, UK, Professor Monte Cassin, President of the Akita International University, Japan, and Professor Halga Mugay, University of Melbourne, Australia, will join us online, representing the expatriate population to share their views with us on the digital platform. During the past several months, our expatriates have been constructively engaged with the NSF in a wide variety of programs, ranging from enhancing science and technology to building capacity of academia. With the launch of the digital platform, the scope, diversity, frequency, and scale of such programs will be greatly enhanced, potentially impacting many sectors of the economy. On behalf of the NSF, I most warmly and cordially welcome each and every expatriate joining this event. Dear top 2% of the global scientific fraternity in Sri Lanka, you are the heart and soul of the university sector and the gems and jewels in the crown of Sarasavi Mata. You are the most treasured resource of our university system. You have set benchmarks of excellence and new standards for our academic and scientific community and the country. We take great pride in your dedication and devotion to excellence. I am certain that Sarasavi Mata is feeling elated and proud of your singular accomplishments and dreaming to have more and more sons and daughters of your caliber and stature. When you look at the intellectual landscape of our universities, we see relatively few mountains in the otherwise rather flat landscape, who have silently, unobtrusively, and selflessly contributed greatly to the noble task of advancement of science and nation building. The nation and the society have unfortunately been insufficiently aware of your worth, and you are the unsung academic heroes in our country. However, you continue to fulfill your obligation to the nation, even under trying circumstances, because of your relentless passion for intellectual work and scholarly pursuits, and your love and affection for the motherland. If we create a more conducive and enabling environment for research in Sri Lanka, I am certain that you would be in the top 1% cohort in the world. We are pleased to add that NSF is strongly committed to eliminating roadblocks and impediments in the journey to excellence in research, and wish to join forces with you in this regard. Dear sir, in our country, there are several types of excellence awards schemes at the national level to honor and recognize excellence in athletics, arts, music, literature, cinema, and such like. However, there isn't such a scheme to honor and recognize singular accomplishments in science and technology. Therefore, it is absolutely appropriate that we invite you for this event, thereby symbolically honoring your singular accomplishment in the sphere of science and technology. The event also provides opportunity to develop an interface between distinguished scientists at home and abroad, which will give birth to a super biological alloy with unique vigor in academic, technological, and entrepreneurial respects, thereby creating a win-win situation. This will undoubtedly afford a turbo boost to science and technology endeavors in our country. I wish to add that NSF proposed to establish a high-profile national event to pay a fitting tribute to our top flight scientists and technologists. Honorable Prime Minister, it takes a shared destiny to create a nation. And we know that a shared destiny is the outcome of the collective and cumulative effort of the whole country to shape society and the nation. A shared destiny also speaks of the people's shared hopes and aspirations for the future and of pulling together to move forward through promise and peril. Sri Lanka and the National Science Foundation have a shared destiny. The NSF will rise and fall with Sri Lanka. Others may come and go with the weather, but NSF will stay. Charles Darwin said, "It is not the strongest species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the species most responsive to change." This is equally applicable to any institution and country. If you want to make minor incremental changes or improvements, work on practices, behavior, or attitudes. But if you want to make significant quantum improvements, work on paradigms, said Stephen Covey. The NSF, with a wise, able and far-sighted board of management and chairpersons of strategic committees, is quite alive and responsive to this perception, and the digital platform is only one creation emanating from it. We are confident that the global digital platform of the NSF, GDP for short, that we launch today will be a potent catalyst and a powerful instrument in raising the GDP of our country. It will be a game changer, signifying a turning point in the science and technology trajectory of Sri Lanka, while reaffirming our unwavering commitment to promoting science, technology, and innovation. We look forward to facilitating, enabling, and consolidating strategic scientific cooperation and collaboration between sons and daughters of Sri Lanka Mata at home and abroad. We will thereby charting a new course and blazing a new trail to propel Sri Lanka's trajectory to become a developed nation by 2035. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to invite Ms. Tilina Kumari Kandanamulla, Scientific Officer of NSF, to give a brief introduction to the global network of Sri Lankan expatriates in the digital platform.
Honorable Sir, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. And let me give you a brief explanation about the network of expatriates of the NSF Global Digital Platform. This is the current distribution of the registrants at the digital platform, and there are 960 registrants from 40 countries with a considerable number of registrants from Sri Lanka as well. And you can see that there's a lot of registrants from Australia and North America. If we have a quick look at the components of the digital platform, there are actually 4 key components: the directory, travel calendar, interactive stage, and also the information and knowledge sharing facility. The directory provides information regarding the registered expatriate scientists, their fields of expertise and their affiliations, etc. And this pie chart shows the composition of the fields of expertise of the current registrants. And you can see that a lot of registrants are there from the having expertise in the field of engineering and emerging technologies. And the other important component is the travel calendar, which provides information regarding the visits of expatriates to Sri Lanka, and that is their itinerary, enabling them to connect with the local scientists to establish collaborations. The fourth key component of the digital platform is the Sri Lankan Scientists Interactive Stage, which enables the registrants of the Sri Lankan scientific community to connect with the expatriate to establish linkages upon their mutual interests. And the fourth key component of the digital platform is the information and knowledge sharing facility, which is a repository of the institutional and the national needs of the country to match with the global opportunities available. These opportunities can be postdoctoral, postgraduate, research grant opportunities, and a wide range of them. So it's very clear that this platform is providing a great opportunity to match the local needs with the global opportunities available. So what kind of opportunities do we have? There's a wide range of opportunities. To name a few, basically there's a lot of opportunities in two main sectors, such as the higher education and research, and also industry, corporate and SME sectors. And the key partners of the digital platform, we can identify as universities and academia, research and development institutions, industry, chambers of commerce, to name a few. And this impact could be gained through several aspects: technology transfer, know-how, show-how, and impact, capacity building, and also a number of fields, almost all the fields could be benefited ultimately through the activities of the digital platform. And as our chairman earlier mentioned, they are the higher education, science and technology, industry, trade, FDI, tourism, so on and so forth. And this impact or the increased network between Sri Lankan scientists, Sri Lankan expatriate scientists, and the foreign scientists would enhance the global visibility, footprint, and the impact of the National Science Foundation, which is a national institution in Sri Lanka, and thereby making it a strategic partner as well as a potential catalyst in the national development. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Kandanamala. Ladies and gentlemen, the most important event of today and the moment we have all been looking forward to. It is the ceremonial launch of the NSF Global Digital Platform. This will be launched by the Chief Guest, Honorable Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. The Honorable Prime Minister will be provided with a tab for launching of the Global Digital Platform. We can witness the event on the digital screen. Thank you, Honorable Sir. The Honorable Prime Minister will be leaving due to his many other commitments. Honorable Sir, we are Thankful for your presence and gracing this very special occasion. Next on the agenda, we will listen to the views of some eminent expatriates, a cross-section of the scientists in the Global Digital Platform. The first speaker is Vidya Jyoti Dr. Bandula Vijay, Ambassador for Science, Technology and Innovation for Sri Lanka in the USA. He is an eminent inventor of cardiovascular devices, scientist and engineer, and an entrepreneur. Let us now listen to Dr. Vijay joining us from Houston, Texas.
Good morning. Honorable Mahinda Rajapaksa, Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, Chairman Professor Ranjit Senaratne, distinguished guests and dear friends. Thank you for inviting me to speak on this groundbreaking initiative by the Chairman and the staff of the National Science Foundation of Sri Lanka. This effort marks the beginning of a collaborative working opportunity for all of us expatriate Sri Lankans to help the science and technology development in Sri Lanka. You have opened a remarkable opportunity and a gateway to use the highly skilled expatriate scientists, engineers, educators, and doctors from all around the world for the benefit of Sri Lanka and for its economic progress. In 2020, I collaborated with the Air Force engineers and the doctors to develop a novel treatment for COVID patients, which resulted in a system to minimize the need to place COVID patients on a ventilator. 50 units were built by the Air Force and are now successfully used in hospitals in Sri Lanka. This is just an example how these collaborations can help advance scientific development in the country. With the help and advice of expatriates, we can and must fine-tune our education system. Then we will excel in innovation, in social structure, in healthcare of our nation, among other things. Education geared towards the ability to use one's knowledge is really the key ingredient in the development process of a country, as I observe this in the United States. This means application of knowledge and not just being knowledgeable. The digital platform that has been developed by the National Science Foundation is ideal to achieve this goal. In order to achieve this goal, I like to propose that a mechanism be established with the blessings at the highest level of the government to make this initiative work for the benefit of our nation. The digital database initiated by the NSF is the first step. Therefore, I want to congratulate the NSF Chairman, Professor Ranjit Senaratne, and the NSF staff for this truly historic initiative, and we are very happy to participate and work with our counterparts in Sri Lanka to achieve this goal. Thank you again, and I wish you all success in this great endeavor. Goodbye.
The next speaker is Professor Dilantha Fernando, Dean of Studies, St. Paul's College, and Professor at the Department of Plant Science, University of Manitoba, Canada. He is a world-renowned plant scientist focusing on plant pathology, biotechnology, and microbiology.
Professor Ranjit Senaratne, Chairman, National Science Foundation, National Science Foundation staff, and distinguished guests. Thank you for your kind invitation to speak on the inauguration of the digital platform to develop collaborative endeavors among the expatriate scientific communities and Sri Lankan researchers and students. My name is Dilantha Fernando, Dean and Professor at the University of Manitoba, the oldest Western Canadian university. I work in the Department of Plant Science, where the world's first canola variety was developed. You may know that the healthiest edible oil in the world now is canola. And I'm proud to be associated with this crop and doing research on this crop. I also work on wheat, where most of your daily foods like bread and pasta are made from, including flour to make your homemade cakes and other eats. I also work on barley, where the end product ends in cereals, soups, and in making your beer. Now, for my vision for the digital platform. As you know, Sri Lanka is a tropical country enjoying the luxury of two major seasons for agriculture, Yala and Maha, and a country that most crops and fruit trees grow. We have a rich history as old as the Mayan settlements around agriculture. However, our agriculture has not met the needs of our growing population, and successive governments have had to depend on foreign exports for most essential foods like rice and red lentils, better known as parippu. I propose a revitalization in our agriculture, mainly to improve traits to withstand climatic conditions. Here's one good example. I do not think there's a single Sri Lankan who is not fond of parippu or the lentil curry. Did you know that Canada is a major exporter of red lentils to the world and to Sri Lanka? Certain climatic conditions are needed for it to grow well. As almost all Sri Lankans love this in their daily meals, we need to seek research in developing lentils that would grow in Sri Lanka without exporting it. This can be done with the right collaborations and breeding efforts. In my lab, we focus on mitigating diseases through genetics. This helps reduce pesticides and protect the environment and the water table. Our research is entirely addressing sustainability on the farm. We approach this through very applied research in the field and very advanced molecular techniques in the lab, including the omics, transcriptomics, genomics, proteomics, and also gene editing. Gene editing, such as CRISPR technology, is non-GM and allows the needed gene editing to improve crops and to mitigate diseases. Once fundamental and applied research is combined and taken to solve agricultural issues, you end up with high yield and excellent productivity without compromising the environment. Climate change is real, and we need to address this at all levels in our research. This can only be achieved with the government being sincere in identifying and adapting key research areas and issues so that funding is available for the researchers to increase agricultural productivity. Research funds should be given to scientists to investigate and train the young researchers to establish a network of well-trained researchers to be our future scientists. Hard work is so important. My lab receives over $1 million in research funding each year to investigate key questions and bring solutions to the Canadian agriculture sector. We receive these funds each year as we have always delivered through novel research findings. For example, major Canadian trade issues have been solved through our research, adding an estimated $3 billion each year to the Canadian economy. I was fortunate to be invited by the Minister of Agriculture in Canada to address the European Union and the Parliament members of the EU in 2021 to showcase our success in agriculture in Canada, achieved mainly through a sustainable approach through genetics in applied and fundamental research without harming the environment. So I invite Sri Lankan scientists and young researchers to join to help Sri Lanka's future agriculture to be taken to new heights through collaborative opportunities to team up with expats who are willing to give a helping hand through this digital platform. I will be happy to assist and be part of this journey and Sri Lanka's future. Thank you for inviting me, Professor Senaratne and the National Science Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Fernando. Next, we have Professor Monte Cassin, President of Akita International University, Japan. He will be joining us next, and Professor Cassin has been successively appointed as President of Ritsumeikan Asia Pacific University and Vice Chancellor of Ritsumeikan Trust since 2014. I believe this is his 50th year in Japan. Over to you, Professor Cassin.
Oh, thank you very much, Dilanti. And thank you, Dr. Ranjit Senaratne, Chairman of NSF, and an old friend, for inviting me to be part of this fantastic occasion. It brings warmth to our hearts and energy into our bones. I do hope that we can now go on to see, not just talk about me, myself, except in passing, but more to see how these 50 years might have benefited Sri Lanka. And that is largely to see how we can leverage on Japanese science and the expatriate community here to work with all of you who will come on board this platform that NSF has so wisely put up, so that we can all join forces to do something that is really, really spectacular. Now, with regard to the science and technology partnerships, Japan has a very specific ecosystem, which is not quite similar to many of those you would see in Western Europe or in North America. There is a close nexus between government and industry and academia, which is subliminal and sometimes not even very transparent. So you just have to be here for a long time before you can get your foot into the door and find out what's happening. There are many things we can learn in respect to science policy, for example. Dr. Bandula Vijay talked about the need for government commitment. And Japan is a fantastic example of government commitment over the years, quietly working towards bringing frontline technologies to industry and to society. Now, I do know that their Science Foresight program tries to envisage where this investment should go. The outcomes are a very different model from the Silicon Valley model of innovation. But I do know that there are wise investors who are targeting this very, very low-key innovation that continually happens in Japan. And a lot of that is channeled through tech-savvy, small and medium-sized industry, which have been around sometimes for 100 to 200 years. So this exploration of what the relationship between Japanese science and Japanese industry is an area that this platform would benefit by, particularly when it comes to getting the commitment and the support of government to promote science. I think the NSF has a partnership with the Japan Science and Technology Agency, which was launched when I was involved with Sri Lankan science at the very center. And I hope that we can build on this, and I will be happy to advocate for you. The head, Professor Hamaguchi, is an old colleague and friend, and together with him and the head of the Japan Society for the Promotion of Science and the Science Council of Japan, I think you can bring a lot of insights into how Sri Lankan science policy can support our scientists and also contribute to industry. So in this respect, Japan does not only exclusively direct its funding towards Japanese scientists. It works in collaboration with both the developing, emerging, and developed economies to create fantastic new partnerships. So these three institutions I just mentioned have collaborations worldwide, and any young Sri Lankan scientist who gets into this network will have global access to the highest levels of science. I will certainly do my very, very best to see that there are more and more Sri Lankan scientists who can enjoy the fruits of this. For example, in regard to human development in science, the government of Japan is engaging with emerging economies to create universities which can be world-class. The Egypt-Japan University of Science and Technology, which I was involved in founding, the Vietnam-Japan University, where I'm still a member of the Board of Governors, and the Malaysia-Japan Institute of International Industrial Technologies, as well as the IIT Hyderabad's Japanese elements. These are all places where governments have worked together to bring Japanese science to their countries. I think using the NSF platform, we can do the same to actually bring Japanese science to Sri Lanka in a novel and unusual and perhaps much more innovative way as well. Linking science to value addition is the key. We tend to focus as an emerging economy on the economic values, but today investors are moving towards a multiplicity of values. They're moving towards environmental value as represented by the SDGs, and ESG finance is a case in point. They're moving towards social values, and Japan has articulated what it calls Society 5.0, where the new industrial revolution with digital transformations as well as other transformations in science will add to our national economies. This is called Industry 4.0, as envisaged by Charles Schwab at the Davos Forum. Now, Japan is fully committed to Industry 4.0, the new generation of industry, Society 5.0, where no one will be left behind in this industrial transformation, and the SDGs and ESG finance, which actually bring an inclusive character to the innovations that come around us and pay heed to what damage we do to the environment. Now, in Japan, I was involved in setting up a non-profit general purpose association legally registered in Japan called the Sri Lanka-Japan Collaborative Platform. Now that platform has about 8 what I call propulsive projects that are very relevant to Sri Lanka. My university and several other universities that I'm involved in are engaged in being the driving force behind this. Inclusive innovation is what we call it, the name of the game that drives these projects. And in 2016, the Japanese government asked me to make a presentation on my work on inclusive innovation to the G7 Ministers of Science and Technology. Now, these projects have become much more sophisticated since then. One small example that comes to mind is to enhance not only the climate resilience of agriculture, but by using biophotonics to see how pharmacology can be linked to our traditional foods, like tea, for example. And what we find is that the cost of pharmacology when imbibed after coming from natural plants, and here we can link up with Dr. Dilante's work as well. I think Dr. Dilante's work would also be linked to this kind of initiative where food meets pharmacology. But the cost we estimate would be about 5% of what it takes to be made in a factory. Imagine the impact that this would have on an emerging economy's health budgets. Sri Lanka is definitely aging. We have the same longevity as the United States, but with 1/10 the per capita GDP. We will have to arrive at innovative solutions for the future. My final word, Dr. Senaratne and colleagues at NSF, is we must all work towards using this digital platform. We must all work towards investing in the future. I'm sure all of my expatriate scientists and colleagues in industry will be happy to do so for Sri Lanka. We must leverage on the new investments that are being made in countries like Japan, in quantum science, in space research, in adaptive robotics, in climate resilience, disaster risk reduction, AI, IoT, non-conventional renewable energy sources, and power storage systems. All of these are going to power the future of global economies. And we must be there in the front line. I think your digital platform will be the place that launches this for Sri Lanka. I would like to conclude with the words of Dalai Lama. Give ones you love wings to fly. And Sri Lanka has certainly done that. And we expatriate scientists are proof of these wings to fly. Give the ones you love wings to fly, roots to come back. This platform gives us a place where we can put our roots down. And Dalai Lama says, give them reasons to stay. And I think Sri Lanka's success in the transition from an emerging economy to a developed economy by 2035 will be the reason for us to stay. The joys of seeing our compatriots, our motherland thriving is what every Sri Lankan expatriate scientist yearns for. I think I share this message not just from myself, but I think it represents what all of us out here away from Sri Lanka feel in our hearts for our country. I have no doubt that this work that Dr. Ranjit Senratne has initiated at NSF will go on to greater heights. And I urge you to also prepare a kind of a physical space that can be attached to this digital platform where our scientists can come back and work at. SLIMTech at Sri Lanka Institute of Biotechnologies, those are locations where we can start this and link them also with the other higher education and national research institutions in Sri Lanka. These, I think, would be the synergies that we need to actually root things in. There are models in Japan. His Excellency the President has visited the Okinawa Institute of Science and Technology, and I'm the Deputy Chair of their Board of Councillors. And I'll be happy to get them on board to help Sri Lanka. Similarly, the National Institute of Advanced Graduate Studies, Sokendai, I'm also on their board. They do help, they do get young people, 1/4 of their student bodies from outside Japan. They get them placed in the National Research Institutes of Japan, ranging from the human sciences to the advanced natural sciences and engineering sciences, as well as medicine. There are 20 programs of excellence that this university has, and it would be wonderful if you can see young Sri Lankan scientists coming and being stimulated. Japan has a lot of mechanisms to bring scientists from emerging economies to experience these institutions. They are globally relevant institutions that I would very much like to see you become a part of. And this platform that Ranjit has created with his colleagues enables us to work towards it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Professor Cassin. The next speaker is Professor Shanti Mendis, former Senior Advisor, World Health Organization, Geneva, Switzerland. She is also a Senior Consultant in Global Health and Specialist Physician.
Congratulations to the National Science Foundation and Professor Ranjit Senaratne for taking this visionary step to launch a digital platform to advance the research agenda of Sri Lanka. I am Professor Shanti Mendis, sending this congratulatory message from Geneva, Switzerland. This platform will facilitate scientific collaboration, which is vital for scientists, particularly to local researchers working at the cutting edge of research. When I was engaged in medical research in Sri Lanka for nearly 20 years before I joined the World Health Organization in Geneva, I always found it very useful to share my research and data with scientists working abroad. I found that it added a new dimension to my work. In fact, the COVID-19 pandemic has demonstrated in an unprecedented manner the critical need to share data in real time. The platform also has the potential to enhance creativity and innovation through technology transfer and joint publication with Sri Lankan expatriates, many of them holding senior positions in academia and research and development institutions all around the world. The platform will also create greater opportunities for higher education for young scientists and the capacity strengthening of research institutions in Sri Lanka. All these will help the National Science Foundation to contribute better to accelerated implementation of the national policy framework of His Excellency President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, titled Vistas of Prosperity and Splendor. Let me conclude with my best wishes to the National Science Foundation. Thank you.
The next speaker is Professor Dilanthi Amaratunga, Professor of Disaster Risk Reduction and Management and Head of the Global Disaster Resilience Center, University of Huddersfield, United Kingdom. Professor Amaratunga will now join with us to express her views.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's okay now. Thank you very much, Professor Ranjit Senaratne, for inviting me to say a few words at this very important occasion. I'm Professor Dilanthi Amaratunga, based at the University of Huddersfield here in the UK. As far as I'm concerned, I have actually worked with Sri Lanka since 1998. And as an example, since 2014, 7 research projects have been completed. And at the moment, we are engaged in 9 research projects of various scales on disaster risk reduction and resilience. In that sense, I think it is fair to say that we are one of the most active international university partners with any Sri Lankan entity. So UK International Research and Innovation Strategy. As we all know, UK is a world-leading research nation with a well-rounded, impactful, and globally connected research base. With only 0.9% of world population and 4.1% of researchers, we account for 10.7% of citations and 15.2% of world's most cited, highly cited articles. Over half of the UK scientific papers have international co-authors. And also 72% of active researchers in the UK are internationally mobile. And also it is fair to say that UK has produced and attracts some of the most talented people in the world. Since 2001, for example, there have been 20 British Nobel laureates. Sri Lankan academics contribute heavily, positively towards the UK International Research and Innovation Strategy. In that sense, as highlighted by several previous speakers before, many want to share their skills and knowledge with their home continent. Harnessed correctly, Their inherent bias towards the homeland can act as amplifying nodes in powerful cross-border networks. They can lend not only their expertise, but their professional reputations too. However, a lack of credible and pragmatic mechanism has hindered contributions to Sri Lanka, while several other countries derive remarkable benefits by harnessing expatriates. In that sense, I very strongly believe that NSF Digital Platform can play a major role in facilitating this process. This is a snapshot from a recently completed project with several Sri Lankan partners, which highlighted several barriers to international collaborations. As you can see, lack of networking opportunities and also lack of institutional support, finding difficulties in finding partners, cultural differences and language differences also was highlighted. Again, in this sense, I very strongly believe that NSF Digital Platform can play a major role in supporting the researchers to overcome these barriers. This is actually a wish list from me on the NSF platform. I hope it will bring together talent. It will connect researchers, support their development and the translation of the idea. Be an excellent global hub for innovation, where it will provide opportunities to solve global challenges by providing the space and potential to seed discussion and opportunities, and will build partnerships that recognize the importance of curiosity-led and interdisciplinary. It will be a global platform for the technologies of tomorrow, whereby it will support the design of common global regulatory approaches to bring forward emerging transformative technologies. And also, I hope it will facilitate the new normal that we all are working in. Through remote supervision, online delivery of special lectures and training workshops, I hope using novel technologies, I hope this platform will be able to facilitate the new normal. And then the capacity building. I hope it will provide support and advice for inexperienced researchers who are looking to reach out to global colleagues. And also it will be an advocate for better research governance, ethics, and impact, which will build an international consensus on research governance, ethics, and on open science to share knowledge and build trust. Few points on the sustainability of the NSF platform. It is really important that, of course, this particular aspect is considered positively. Like all platforms, professional communities will need to design, nurture, curate, and use it constructively for it to be a positive outcome. And also it has to be a portal with up-to-date data and information. And also there need to be sustainable mechanisms via the digital platform in ensuring long-term research collaborations. And also it is very important that any bureaucratic obstacles and long delays in internal administrative processes are to be removed if links that will be created via the platform to be meaningful by means of research excellence. There can be challenges which will arise as a result of the growing scale of platform innovation and the increasing complexity of platform architecture, disadvantage of dependency, uncertainty regarding data management, varying user needs, and also resource limitations. In overcoming these, there need to be a transparency strategy and an incentive model strategy that can be used to overcome some of these challenges. I will finish my very short intervention with this quote. It says, one of the eminent Nigerian surgeons quoted, "Creating platforms for mentoring and collaboration between researchers holds the endless potential of rightly guiding the underdogs of research, increasing the quality and visibility of their work, and ultimately achieve the aim of increasing diversity in scholarly publishing." Thank you very much. And I wish all the very best for this absolutely fantastic initiative. And I'm very happy to be part of this increasingly global network of Sri Lankan scientists overseas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Amaratunga. The final expatriate joining us today is Professor Samantha Mugay. He is professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, University of Melbourne, Australia. Over to you, Professor Mugay.
Thank you very much for the kind invitation, and Professor Ranjit Senaratne and the fantastic staff at National Science Foundation, and honorable guests, friends and colleagues. I can see quite a good number of participants from Australia, but also from other countries, and I can see a friend from Harvard attending. So I'm extremely privileged to be part of this initiative and led by National Science Foundation, in which, together with Sri Lankan universities and other institutions like IFS in Kandy, CSRO, and many other institutions, form the backbone of Sri Lanka's research. So during this short period of time, I'm involved with this initiative. I have spoken to many members of National Science Foundation's team, led by Professor Ranjit Senaratne. And I have to say that their keenness, energy, and dedication, and they are altogether an inspiration for us getting involved in this effort. So a great effort by a great team, and I would like to see broad support of Sri Lankan researchers overseas to this successful initiative, which is already gaining momentum. So now the question here is, question that I would like to address is, how could this initiative provide a boost to Lankan research and ultimately to Lankan economy, and which we all are worried about today? Let me be honest. And this is the question we need to explore creatively. What are the specific mechanisms of doing so using this digital platform? I do not have simple answers. So this is something we need to explore. But what I can say is that both China and India, and they were a lot more successful than Sri Lanka in gaining the support of expatriate researchers, scientists, engineers, and but we are not India and China, so we are different. So how do we do it differently? So I give you an example. I have trained about 20 Sri Lankan PhD graduates in my lab, which is an artificial intelligence lab at University of Melbourne, and 30% of them have returned to Sri Lanka, currently in Sri Lanka, and that is about 6 people. And now I compare that with the students from China who were trained in my lab, and 60% of them returned to China. And so why would they return in a larger proportion than in Sri Lanka? So we can observe these things. And now I have to say, I observed that some of the export industries in Sri Lanka have been successful during the pandemic years, which is great news, and particularly in these difficult times. So now there are some new opportunities coming up. So how do we actually serve and support the industries to which fuel the Sri Lankan economy and to be more successful? And how do we help Sri Lankans to create more value-added products and services that can be used in Sri Lanka, because we have a very vibrant local economy or need, and also overseas. So how do we strategically place Sri Lanka as a country for advanced products and services beyond current focus on things like tea and textiles? I'm not saying that we have to cut down those things, but what I'm saying is, in addition to what we have, can we actually develop or support Sri Lankan economy through Sri Lankan industry by providing stronger support using expats? And for that, I think this digital platform can play a significant role. So now, why am I saying this? If we achieve this, Sri Lanka will be able to keep some of their smart people, and even to get some of the researchers back from overseas, like China and India have managed to do. So, and as I said, I'm working in an area called artificial intelligence, which has many, many applications in many areas that we heard about today from my distinguished colleagues. And so I hope to explore this direction enthusiastically. I wish this initiative all the best, and I wish that it will be a catalyst for positive change in Sri Lanka in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Haragamage. Next, we have here representing the top 2% of the global scientific fraternity from Sri Lanka, Vidya Jyoti, Professor Janaka De Silva, former chairman of the National Research Council and chair and senior professor of medicine, University of Kelaniya. I would like to invite Professor De Silva to present his views.
Good morning. Chairman of the National Science Foundation, Chairman of the University Grants Commission, Vice Chair of SLASCOM, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, including those joining us online. So these are reflections on scientific research in Sri Lanka in 5 minutes, and I'll stick to time. One way in which a country's progress is assessed is by measuring how much knowledge it generates. This in turn is measured by its research output, commonly measured by publications and patents. By any of these measures, Sri Lanka has yet to go beyond the international average. But we have seen signs that things are improving. The number of scientific publications has increased nearly 7-fold over the last 20-25 years. And what little we publish is well cited. Our national field-weighted citation index is more than the world average and is higher than the index achieved by many Asian countries, including India. Sri Lanka has many strengths, a pool of highly trained professionals and academics, many of whom who have been exposed to research at centers of excellence and come back home, and who are convinced of the importance of research and are motivated to find solutions to our local problems. However, there are weaknesses in our system, 3 of which, sir, I would like to highlight with you this morning. The first, in our scientists themselves. Many of us still lack the self-confidence to undertake large-scale research projects. They are averse to joining multidisciplinary research teams. We also seem indifferent to the need to communicate our research findings effectively to the public, forgetting that public support is vital to convince elected governments to fund research and development more generously. The second is our relationship with industry. Most industry partners here have a poor entrepreneurial spirit, preferring to partner very safe projects which lack originality and will not be conducive to progress. They are very risk averse, as we have realized. And this, together with the lack of effective communication on our part as scientists, has led to the relationship between academia and industry being much to be desired. The third is the state. And I'm so happy that my friend and colleague, Professor Samantha Mugay, is in the audience this morning. So government spending on research and development here is very low, about 0.1% of GDP, and we have been going on and on about this. But let us put that aside in these days of pandemics and economic uncertainty. What makes matters worse is that our scientists have also to overcome administrative hurdles that are sometimes so unreasonable to the point of being absurd. A good example is the red tape we have to go through for joint research projects with international funding at no cost to the state. A very senior scientist I know received a letter from a minor foreign office official requesting her to explain in detail the scientific methodology of a clinical trial. It can now take up to a year for formal approval of such funding, a period of time that our international partners are just not prepared to tolerate. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have to rectify and overcome these weaknesses. The first two will take time, but the third, sir, I feel we can do rather quickly. And I appeal to you this morning. I know it's not fair to do this, but I appeal to you on behalf of all our scientists to try and see whether we can get this funding thing sorted out so that our science can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It is my pleasure to invite the chairman of the University Grants Commission, Senior Professor Sampath Amaratunga, who is also the former Vice Chancellor of the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, to address the gathering.
Very good morning, Chairman NSF, Professor Janaka De Silva, Professor Ananda Jayawardena, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to say a few words. I will show you some results. It's about teaching, learning, and examination. After that, I will talk about research with my experience. You can see this. This is what we have achieved. This is during the whole pandemic. You can see how we are functioning, our system. So before the pandemic, you can see there was no conferencing, video conferencing. You can understand the experience of using this digital platform in Sri Lankan universities. It is almost zero. In 1987, I was a final year student in the Department of Economics at Jayawardhanapura. Only just 2 weeks to start university examination, the final, universities were closed for 3 years. We were in the industry and working in the industry for 3 years to get the final exam in 1990. So with the pandemic, His Excellency, the President, wanted University Grants Commission somehow to continue the education. So I have clearly explained him that without providing free data for poorest of poor, 60% of undergraduates in 17 national universities are scholarship holders, either bursary or Mahapola. So their income ceiling is 500,000 per annum. That is the ceiling. Most of them, the average is less than 200,000. So you can just imagine, without providing free data, how can we run a system like this? So government provided free data until now. Then with the Zoom technology, once you log on to Zoom, you have to pay for data because that goes to US servers. We wrote to them, US, and explained the situation, the sudden collapse of this education, and requested them to build parallel servers here in Colombo, UCSC, to continue this Zoom technology for free of charge. So generously, they have provided everything free until 2021, December 31st. Then I have promised them that we are going to purchase accounts, maybe more than 25,000 in 2022. So as we promised, today we are running on Zoom with all accounts which we have purchased. Then you can see how we started. Jaffna University Arts Faculty, they have conducted a very important survey, and they said only 47% have instruments to come online. Then others, they use mobile phones. They don't have computers. But until now, no one complained that they don't have computers. This is the beauty of our higher education system. Everybody have 3A passes. So they want to learn, study, and get out from the system and go to the industry. So we have capitalized that. You can see today we are almost 100% running all 17 universities online, and all our laboratories are open during this pandemic situation. Another set of information. You can see how many man hours we spend on video conferencing. When it is come to examination, it is not easy to examine students. We don't have that culture. We have 100, 150 students inside the hall, and a supervisor is going to sit in the middle of the hall with few invigilators, and they check whether students are going to copy or bring any information. That is the culture that we had. So we have changed the mindset of academia. And we have started giving open book examinations. We don't know whether they write to exams in a group manner. We don't know. We started working with students and believing students. It's a total mindset change in our system. And somehow we have taken 2019 A-levels, the whole batch. With all these difficulties, we have increased the intake by 10,000. And 2020 again admitted. We have admitted A-level students after A-levels because we have functioned properly inside. I will come back to research with my experience. When I was given the VC seat at USJ, that was in 2014, November, we were very close to 6,000 in the webometrics, 6,000, almost 6,000, 5,990 something. You can just imagine a VC of a university in that caliber, how we have to plan to bring the university at least up to 2000 level, where today we are in 2000. How you can bring a university from 6,000 to 2,000? The number one, what I have done, as my colleague and friend, Professor Janaka explained, I have gone through our accounts. I have seen fixed deposits in all banks, more than 2,000 million, that is more than 2 billion, started giving money for our own researchers. First 150 million given in 2014 December. Like that, every year, at least 200 million or 250 million we contribute to researchers. We develop 25 research centers overnight. And I started studying each indexes of everybody in Sri Lanka, those who have very high. Sometimes I used to telephone personally, would you like to come to Sri Jayawardhanapura and join with us? Some I have recruited. During the interview, colleagues from USJ, they say, so don't recruit this lady. Without hearing anybody's opinion, sometimes I have recruited. So last Friday, I got a SMS from an academic whom I have recruited like that. Her H index is 50 today. 50. This is the text message I got. Dear sir, is there any way I could get 2.5 million? Like to improve one of my instruments so that I can do some advanced research. So this is the best way to understand what is the ground level today in our universities. Exactly, we need funding. There is no two words. I will come back to this text message later. Then at Jayawardhanapura, I have seen social sciences component is more than 80%. The management faculty covers more than 50%. They engage in research, but they more related to companies, private sector, and consultancy. Then I came to know, definitely, I have to bring the science base. Started engineering, and I said, without a PhD, I am not going to recruit. No probationary lecturers, only PhDs I'm going to recruit. I always ask, bring the printout of the Google Scholar sheet when they come to the interview. Started from the beginning. Then recruited 30 engineering PhDs. Then started the technology faculty, where I have recruited 60 PhDs. Then medical sciences. Recently, we have started dental and another biochemistry like that. So all scientists, I have found in databases, most of the researchers, they don't spell Sri Jayawardhanapura correctly, the ground level situation. If you are incorrect, your spellings of your affiliation, university cannot claim that paper. So I started writing to databases. I have found 10 ways of writing Sri Jayawardhanapura. You don't believe. Started from that. So I have that experience. And the future, so at UGC, I have counted how many circulars so far we have issued. Thousands. Then I studied how many circulars that we have issued in the field of research. Only 2. So far, only 2. One circular is about our research allowance, nothing to do with real research. That is 10 years ago, when I was the chairman FUTA, we have actually drafted that circular. Then Professor Veranja drafted another circular to introduce H-index based salary scheme. These are the only 2. Now we are planning to establish an authority in each and every university to take the responsibility of research. Now we started discussions. This writing your affiliation correctly. From that, using your correct domain, if you submit your Yahoo email account, you cannot claim that paper. From that to funding, Professor Janaka, we are planning now. We are planning. So this is going to be the future. Professor Anand, of course, here. We are working at the commission together. So that is the future. You can just understand that I am well aware the ground level situation. Professor Mettika wrote me this text message. Her index is 50, asking 2.5 million from Chairman UGC, because the situation is money is not available even for a researcher in that caliber. That we have to understand. So we really understood the situation, and we are now working on this. And we have seen so many experts expressing their views, including Dr. Bandula Vijay. Actually, the help, what we need is collaborative research. We all have contacts with foreign universities. If they write papers for them, that won't count for us. So actually, the experts have to come and work with our experts in our universities and institutes together and publish together, innovate together. Then only university system, institutes, and the country can uplift. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your commitment to higher education and research in Sri Lanka. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Ashik Ali, Vice Chairman of Slascom, the strategic partner in developing the digital platform, to address the audience.
Good morning, Chairman, National Science Foundation, Professor Ranjit Senaratne, Chairman, University Grants Commission, Professor Samantha Mugay, former Chairman, National Research Council, Professor Janaka De Silva, eminent academics, professionals, and business leaders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of SLASCOM, Sri Lanka Association for Software and Services Companies, I'm privileged to address this August gathering for the launch of National Science Foundation's digital platform that aims to create collaboration between Sri Lanka and our learned and accomplished Sri Lankan community residing all over the world for the purpose of national development. These collaborations are envisaged to bring new technology, sustainable practices, research and development, knowledge transfer, and access to markets to key economic sectors, improve the country's scientific capabilities and human capital. As the industry chamber for IT BPM exports, SLASCOM is immensely proud to partner with the National Science Foundation to build this platform. The IT BPM industry is recognized as a trust sector in the government's policy manifesto, Vistas of Prosperity and Splendor. The industry has a vision of growing its exports revenue by $5 billion by 2025 from its current $1.7 billion. To achieve this growth, it will expand its workforce from 85,000 to 200,000 and catalyze and help grow 1,000 startups. The growth and innovation will also accelerate the technology adoption and transformation of state institutions, key economic sectors, healthcare and education, and citizen services. The industry branding, Island of Ingenuity, positions Sri Lanka as a niche destination for product and service innovation. Building on an unblemished record of delivering world-class IT BPM solutions for over 2 decades to some of the largest organizations in the world, the industry is poised to create centers of excellence in artificial intelligence, blockchain, cybersecurity, intelligent process automation, and other emerging technologies such as drones and Internet of Things. Developing our human capital towards this end is one of the key success factors that requires the support from all of you. We had with us today Professor Samantha Mugay and here Professor Anand Jayawardena. We also have Chairman ICTA, Mr. Oshada Senanayaka here, who have been key supporters of the industry growth. And today begins our partnership with the NSF. We are very thankful to Professor Ranjit Senarathne, Professor Javira, and Dr. Shanta for all their help and encouragement in encouraging our partnership in this platform. Being a relatively smaller country with limited population, there's a strong focus to foster the creation of intellectual property in disruptive and transformative products and platforms to attract investments and achieve exponential growth. The industry is also positioning itself as a gateway to fast-growing and large South Asian markets, leveraging its strategic geolocation. The Colombo Port City and regional technoparks in Galle, Kurunegala, Kandy, Habarana, and Nuwara will offer state-of-the-art office space, linkages to universities, schools, healthcare, living and recreation facilities, 5G and fiber connectivity, green infrastructure and energy, coupled with progressive and investor-friendly policies to attract Sri Lankan and foreign IT BPM firms to set up and expand. Like many of its South Asian neighbors, the Sri Lankan expatriate community can play a major role in the growth of this sector, and it is our ardent expectation that this platform will act as a conduit to increase collaborations. We look forward to engaging with over 800 eminent persons already registered in the platform towards this goal. We congratulate the National Science Foundation in the launching of this digital platform and assure a continued support to maintain and improve the platform to harness its full potential. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ali. Ladies and gentlemen, we can now witness the official signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between National Science Foundation and Slascom. On behalf of the National Science Foundation, the MOU will be signed by Professor Ranjit Senaratne, Chairman of National Science Foundation, and on behalf of Slascom, Mr. Ashik Ali, Vice Chairman of Slascom, will be signing the MOU. Let me now invite Professor Senaratne and Mr. Ali onto the stage for signing of the MOU. Thank you. To mark the end of this launching ceremony, to propose the vote of thanks, I invite Mr. J.G. Shantasiri, Head of International Affairs Division of NSF.
Professor Ranjit Senaratne, Chairman of the National Science Foundation, Professor Ananda Jayawardena, Mr. Ravindra Padmapriya, Acting Director General of the NSF, Professor Janaki De Silva, and distinguished invitees. Good morning, and of course, our online participants. On behalf of the Chairman, Director General, and the Board of Management of the National Science Foundation, I consider it's a great privilege to propose a vote of thanks to such a distinguished audience. First and foremost, we are deeply grateful to the Honorable Prime Minister for gracing this occasion as the chief guest. In spite of his busy time schedule, his presence today in this function has immensely enhanced its importance. I must express my deep gratitude to our distinguished speakers from representing the expatriates, and from home, our representing the top 2% scientist, Professor Janaki De Silva, and all the speakers. Thank you very much. I am sure that their deliberations will generate fresh ideas, insights, and solutions towards tapping the global talent pool in leveraging science, technology, and innovation for mutual benefits, having a socio-economic impact. I would like to thank Sri Lanka Association for Software and Services Companies, commonly known as Slascom, who have partnered with the NSF in this endeavor to provide generous support in development of the digital platform. I am confident that their organizational skills and commitment will bring the digital platform to a greater height. With the signing of MOU today, I am sure their support will continue for further expansion and scale up the digital platform to seamlessly connect with our other systems of the National Science Foundation, as well as other systems in the innovation ecosystem to achieve its goals at large. I would like to express a special thank to Mr. Ashik M. Ali, Vice Chairman of the SLASCOM, who gave continuous support. The last mail I received today in the early morning, 1 a.m., with regard to the development and uploading the fine-tuned system. Thank you very much for your kind cooperation and dedicated support. I would like to thank the present chairperson of the SLASCOM, Ms. Sandra De Silva. Due to unavoidable circumstance, she was unable to come in person, but with her dedicated support in developing this system, we acknowledge with sincere thanks. And also, this development was in fact initiated in 2020. By then, there was the chairman of the SLASCOM was Mr. Channa Manoharan. I would like to appreciate his great support in developing this platform. The generous support extended by SLASCOM, we have to acknowledge here because their support gave us with limited resources, NSF enabled to launch a marvelous platform today. I wish to express our sincere appreciation for participants who attended the event in person and online, from home as well as from overseas. Your participation made the event a glamorous and memorable occasion. I extend my sincere appreciation to Professor Ranjit Senaratne, Chairman of the National Science Foundation. Sir, you was instrumental and behind us in this endeavor, from idea genesis to the development to the present level. So with your personal commitments and relationships help immensely to develop the platform, as well as the snowball effect, which was really was momentum, so that we were able to get eminent expatriate, a galaxy of eminent expatriate on board, registered with the platform. So some of them were addressed the gathering today. You were witness. I would like to thank the NSF Board of Management for blessing. Their blessing has turned this event into a grand success. Mr. Ravindra Padmapriya, Acting Director General of National Science Foundation. Thank you, sir, for your continued encouragement and support in this endeavor. My sincere appreciation goes to Dr. Tamara Dias, Additional Director of the National Science Foundation, for your guidance and support, especially the technical and scientific matters, handling in that aspect. This type of event cannot happen overnight, where substantial planning, coordination, dedication, devotion, and perseverance is required. My heartfelt thanks go to my team at the International Affairs Division of NSF, who have worked with great dedication to make this event a success. I should mention Mrs. Tilina Kandanamulla, who was my great strength in this endeavor. I extend my sincere appreciation for all the staff members of the National Science Foundation for their support extended in organizing this event successfully. My special thanks goes to Professor Prasad Jayavira, Department of Computer Science, Sri Javadanpura University, who were part of our team from the beginning to this date. And I am sure his support will continue to obtain in this endeavor, particularly in troubleshooting, in developing at certain stages of the digital platform. Our appreciation goes to Swedish audiovisual and on-site team for hosting the event in hybrid mode. I would like to thank Honorable Prime Minister's Security Division for their excellent coordination and support extended, which we enable to hold the event very smoothly. Let me thank BMICH and its staff for excellent hall arrangement and associated logistical support. I also acknowledge Mount Lavinia Hotel for their hospitality service. I thank Department of Government Information for excellent arrangement made for a media briefing before the event, which was helpful in giving pre-publicity for the event. I acknowledge the prompt cooperation and generous support provided by Mr. Chamir Randil, who was a designer, as you saw in the screen when lit up, the digital backdrop and the nice invitation was voluntarily designed for the National Science Foundation. I acknowledge, very grateful. Thanks. Also, I would like to extend for him. Last, not least, our appreciation to the media gathered here today. You are key to ensuring that message of the digital platform reaches public at large. To conclude my vote of thanks, I would like to highlight 1,000-mile journey start with a single step. So we have launched the digital platform. There is a long way to go, as highlighted by the speakers. So I request, my kind request is to our expatriate and our scientists in home researchers, let's come together and do some collaborative effort to leverage this sector and having an output with a great socioeconomic impact with synergy, so that ultimate goal of the digital platform will achieve at the end of the day. Thank you very much and have a nice day.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That brings us to the end of this launching ceremony. As the sentiments expressed by all the eminent scientists, and as Professor Monte Cassin mentioned from Dalai Lama's quote, let the NSF Global Digital Platform be the roots to give back to Sri Lanka and a platform to make new and sustainable collaborations. Thank you for your presence here today, and I wish you all a good day. Whether physically present or not, we are all Sri Lankan at heart. Hadawatinma Sri Lankikai. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, refreshments will be served outside in the lobby.